Welcome to Transform Now, a podcast focused on intelligent automation and brought to you by SS&C Blue Prism. On this program, we talk about how organizations globally are rethinking the way they operate, utilizing process orchestration and AI-enabled digital workers to free up humans to do the work that matters most. We also share insights and tips on how you can embrace this new way of working and unleash your full potential. Let's get into the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transform Now. I'm Brad Hairston.
And I'm Michael Marchuk.
And this is our weekly pulse check, taking a look at what's popping in the world of enterprise AI and automation. So, Michael, we've got 4 articles we're going to cover today. I think they're all very interesting.
They are.
First one is from CIO Magazine. It's titled, "Is Now the Right Time to Invest in Implementing Agentic AI?" And this is pointing out the very obvious point that agentic AI is starting to replace generative AI in most of the marketing messages that we see out there, most of the social media. And it starts off by saying, look, this is not just a better version of RPA. It's taking enterprises to places that RPA could never go. So I'll pass it to you and just get your thoughts. What do you think about this article on agentic AI?
Well, you said it true. We are looking at an era now where the transition from an automation, if we just think just generically automation within an organization, thoughts are naturally now trending towards agentic AI, using AI agents to be able to accomplish tasks or accomplish processes within an organization. And I think that's part of it is that disconnect, and part of it is a reformulation. So one of the disconnect pieces is the way that it approaches it. I think this article did a great job in how it kind of described it. He had a line in there regarding, RPA is like a train on the tracks, and agentic AI is like a self-driving car that can navigate around obstacles. So I think that's a really good way of putting it, in that, when you're running a process, unless you have your train tracks and within RPA have multiple junctions which can, foresee errors or foresee different ways of getting around obstacles already built in ahead of time, and may be difficult for it to do that, and we just have to stop. And we've seen that for poorly designed kind of processes within organizations. But agentic AI has this capability of theoretically navigating around them and still accomplishing the task that was provided to it. One of the things that it did bring out, though, too, is while it can do all these things, there are parts of your organization who are probably not going to be ready for this. There are also things that you probably wouldn't necessarily give to an autonomous agent to accomplish for you. And things that I think have come to mind are, this is a wonderful technology. Let's let our AI agents do our accounting for us, because they can probably find some real creative ways for us to, not pay taxes, increase our revenues, reduce our costs, whatever. And if you take it that perspective, all kinds of craziness can happen. Well, if we just fired all of our employees, we would be very profitable. So therefore, that would be a choice we can make right now. If we raised our prices, ridiculously by 10 million %, we could make more profit, right? So things that are obviously, ridiculous would be things that AI agents could potentially consider as part of their process. So again, thinking through these things right now, there are guardrails and there's guidance that needs to be given to any kind of automation that's being put in place. And even more so if you're sort of taking the reins off and allowing these AI agents to be able to work on your behalf. So those guardrails and that governance is critically important when you're working in there. So I think that's part of where this article is going, that, amazing, interesting stuff, but there's going to be some more work need to be done before we start saying, yeah, we want to release this in the enterprise as is, because I don't think it's quite ready for prime time as it is right now. Not that it won't be, but right now, probably not.
Yeah, the article makes a really good point that for agentic to work the way that it's intended, it's going to have access to all of your systems, all of your data, and that it cites a Google cloud engineer who makes the comment, it's like trying to fit a brand new super smart computer into an old factory that's still running on machines on old software. So this guy makes the point that it's probably better for startups or firms that have been born in the cloud, because agentic AI is going to have a really hard time if it really is going to be autonomous and make decisions and go in its own direction. It's going to have to be able to interact with all your systems and data in their current form. So that was I think a really good point. And it also cites a Gartner analyst named Tom Coshaw, who recently said he predicts by 2028, agentic AI will only be available in 1/3 of enterprise applications, making it possible for up to 15% of day-to-day work decisions to be made autonomously. So that's a pretty meager forecast when you're thinking, 3-4 years out from now, but maybe we should take something from that as well.
Well, I think it's a good conservative way of looking at it, because like you said, we're not ready for it yet. But as we've seen with all of generative AI, the bar moves pretty fast. So like every day it's being raised, and we're going to see that happening continually now as more and more organizations are basing a lot of their funding and their research into the generative AI space.
Yeah. Well, continuing on this same theme, this same topic, there's another article from VentureBeat, and it's titled "The Great AI Masquerade: When Automation Wears an Agent Costume." And this is talking about the fact that not only is agentic AI the flavor of the day and everybody's using that language, but oftentimes what's being put out there in the market is actually automation in disguise, a more advanced flavor of automation, and that we should be able to look at it and decipher when that's actually the case. It's not truly the flavor, it's not truly the type of agentic AI that maybe people are talking about, where it's just autonomous, it's making decisions, it doesn't need any human guardrails or human intervention. So what do you think? What do you think about this perspective from this article?
Well, I would agree with what they're saying in terms of how they're approaching it. So they're right in understanding that many advanced automation capabilities have been repainted as, or in this case here, have a ghost costume pulled over, a sheet pulled over the top with holes cut out, saying I am a ghost. And in fact, it's really just a costume. They're masquerading as agents when in fact they really aren't. Going back to the prior article, RPA has very specific kind of concepts and automation concepts that were built in over a long period of time. And those concepts are there maybe from a capability perspective, but as more and more organizations use them, they actually see that these are sort of building in some safeguards and capabilities that allow organizations to understand exactly what's happening from their automation perspective. When you introduce agents or agentic AI, where it has this capability of self-learning and allowing it to reason and determine the best route forward, there could be some really great applications for that. But as we mentioned, based on the prior article, we're still not ready for it yet. So regardless of what they call it right now, the reality is that the true AI agents, where you're providing it with just a task and assuming they can handle everything on the back end, I don't think we're ready from an enterprise perspective. But when you take the traditional, more sophisticated, intelligent automation that organizations are using right now and apply a layer of AI to it, it can look very much like a well-governed agentic AI implementation of what we would consider to be of the future. So there is this kind of blend where maybe it could pass for that right now. It isn't that, but the outcomes and what it does pretty much mirrors what we would expect from a truly agentic implementation.
Yeah, I think we both agree true AI agents are coming and that all the big tech players are investing heavily. in that space. But I think the article is very valid. There's a lot of stuff being put forward today as agentic AI when maybe it's not quite that. Well, let's move on to the next article. We'll leave the agentic topic for now. The next article is from ZDNet, and it's titled, Apple will pay you up to $1 million if you can hack into Apple Intelligence servers. Apple rolled out Apple Intelligence last week on iOS 18.1, their latest operating system. So if you have the right kind of phone, you're going to be able to take advantage of it. And though a lot of what Apple Intelligence is providing can be handled on the actual device, some of the things you request have to go back and be handled in the cloud via Apple servers. Apple wants to make sure you trust these servers, I guess. So they put out this offer that if you can hack into it, they'll pay you $1 million. So what do you think, Michael?
Well, this is not anything new. I mean, software companies have been doing this for a while. Certainly Microsoft and Apple have been doing this exact thing for quite some time. And I think it's a good way of attracting people who have this kind of curiosity about them already. And I say curiosity in the nicest term possible when you talk about folks who like to do penetration testing as part of their weekend activities just for fun. We all know that there are folks out there who find this as a new puzzle, new challenge for them. So if they can allow these, benign hackers to expose these vulnerabilities and get paid for it, which then helps increase the security of the system for everyone, more power to them. I'm glad they're able to offer these kinds of programs to hopefully allow this security to be, tightened down from a broader perspective. Because as you mentioned, we start rolling these things out. If you do have the right phone, if you do have the software for it, you want to trust that back-end system is going to work for you. And bugs are going to happen. They just are. People can't anticipate every possible issue, especially when you start talking about overflowing with data and different kinds of data and whatever. So while they do as much as they can from a testing perspective, I believe this is a really good way of going out into the wild and allowing people who are curious to be able to go and find ways to capitalize on their curiosity.
Yeah, no doubt Apple is still trying to improve their reputation in the Gen AI space. We talked on prior pulse checks about, I think it was Bloomberg that reported that some Apple employees believe they're 2 years behind the other big tech players in the Gen AI space. So Apple Intelligence is a step in the right direction, but maybe this is a ploy to try to build more confidence and get people using it. Well, our final article is in a totally different direction in the world of automation and AI. And this relates to Meta. It's from CNBC, and it's titled, Why Meta and Snap Are Spending Billions on AR Glasses. So recently, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg came out and revealed that they've been spending billions of dollars on an augmented reality prototype called Orion. This is AI embedded in some glasses. I think they're Ray-Ban glasses. Snap, another company out there, their CEO came forward recently and said the same thing. They're investing in the same area. So there's this grand vision for AR glasses that Meta and Snap both believe are going to usurp smartphones as the next generation of computing. Pretty interesting, but what do you think about this? I mean, clearly this is not ready for the prime time. It's not, you can't go and buy these yet. They may be years away from selling them, but they're making a big show about this technology and really saying that this is the next big thing.
Yeah, I think there is some validity to that, but there also is some major precedents that have been set. So if you remember back in the day, and the article references this here, Google Glass. Google came out these, over 10 years ago, and they discontinued them. Then Microsoft HoloLens was really into that, and they came up with those, and they've discontinued them.
Yeah.
This is a trend. You spend a lot of money. The technology is one aspect of it. The adoption is another, right? You need to have the right application for that. So if you think about, taking Ray-Bans or something that's a stylish eyewear, this reminds me much of how Steve Jobs probably would have accomplished this. He would have looked at those giant clunky things that people put on their heads to, do VR kind of stuff and say, we're Apple, we're gonna do something different, but they didn't, right?
Yeah.
So we're in a spot now where I think taking that form where the function is there in terms of providing augmented reality, and then putting in a form style that people will actually accept is far more important than simply having the technology themselves. So taking that and extending it out, will we see this soon? Maybe. The technology is zooming ahead, right? But the reality is that for people to accept this, it has to fit within their current lifestyle. Nobody wants to be sticking a giant thing over their head where they can't see or maybe look silly wearing it, right? So we are going to see this technology definitely come to play, because there are plenty of real life applications for this in corporate America, in healthcare, in manufacturing. There are real needs for this, right? Yeah. It's getting the right application for it, and then leveraging that application for the good of the organization that's investing in that technology. So could you do it a different way? Maybe you can, but this is a better way and will be more efficient and more effective in how we approach things by having sort of the heads-up display through our glasses.
Sure. Two related news things that I saw recently. One good, one not so good. The good one, you may have seen this, but it was using these glasses, this form of technology for hearing impaired individuals to have a conversation with someone, and what they're saying shows up on their screen.
Real-time transcription in your language.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
That is awesome.
I watched one of those videos and the girl was nearly in tears seeing that, because now she can really communicate with somebody.
Yeah. So that's a very positive use case for this kind of technology. The one that was not so positive, there was an article about a pair of students at Harvard who somehow took possession of Meta's glasses, were playing around with them, and they were able to program them to not only recognize faces of people and identify them on their glasses, but actually go further. It could identify their home address, their phone number, and their family members, on their screen. Now they did this as a method of raising awareness of what this technology could do. So they're not doing it to try to take advantage of it. They're actually trying to say, look, there is a need for some guardrails, some controls here, because if these two students can go and take advantage of it in this way, think of what other bad actors could do. So two interesting data points, both related, that I think show the art of the possible, both the good and the bad. So we'll see where this goes. Couple of rascals at Harvard taking the technology and exposing some potential for it that may not necessarily have been intended, which again opens the awareness to how the technology could be used both in good and nefarious ways. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's all the time we have for our Pulse Check. Thanks for joining us. Remember, we publish another podcast episode every week that involves a wonderful guest. So be sure and check that out. And hopefully we will see you next time on our Pulse Check. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Transform Now, the podcast from SS&C Blue Prism. You can find all of our episodes on your favorite podcast channel, as well as YouTube. To stay on top of the hottest topics in the world of intelligent automation, subscribe now. The future of work is here.